Okay, so I want to make a little monthly review for July. Pretty good month. Uh, 45,000 total. Solid consistency. Really big week on the third week. I'm just going to run through some of the highlights of the month, basically. So, starting on the 7th, I traded LKNCY, which was right here on this day. I went short on that play because it was a OTC multi-day runner and it was the first day of momentum change. So if we go back and look at this day, I remember I was shorting it at $14 here because it was failing to hold the previous day highs. And I thought it could roll red, which is exactly what it did. Had a nice panic. I covered nicely down into the 13s. That was a really good trade. And it was a trade that I didn't see much of this month. The past few months I've seen more OTC short setups, but the beginning of this month, this was maybe the only one I got, and then they really slowed down. So I was grateful for this opportunity here. Let's see what it does. It's still holding up. I have an alert set, maybe over 15. It does the same thing again sometime later this month, since I'm recording this in August. Um, the next trade I wanted to go over was NEGG. So in July, there was a string of big listed runners that would go huge for multiple days. And the big play that I focused on at this time on these runners was the listed first green day. So on this specific play, I played this on the 9th. So the criteria is a huge run of 300% or more, one red day, and then you look for the bounce day. So if we go back to the 9th, this day, this is the day I played it. I remember getting some in the 47s and 48 and having a really nice trade where I was selling in pieces on the way up. I think one of my best sells was at 55 actually. And this was a really consistent pattern that worked for me a lot in July, not just on NEGG, but there were a few others that this play worked on. I remember MRINO. Well, yeah, this was the first day of the month. This really sparked it. This listed first green day that really continued and really started a run. Let's see what else there. CARV. It didn't really have it, but I know there were a few other plays that was a good listed first green day. Definitely one of my favorite plays of the month. One of my favorite patterns of the month. Um, Next trade I want to go over DPLS on the 12th. So it was on this day right here. Let me actually do the on demand so we could get the intraday action. So this was a big OTC runner, ran for multiple days, and on the 12th it had a big panic. Now I haven't seen an OTC panic this clean in a while, but despite it being clean, I actually messed up pretty badly on this. I remember I thought I saw it turning around 15, so I bought 200,000 shares in here. And then it cracked hard. I threw in some market orders trying to get out, and I didn't get filled until 13, or maybe even if it was 12 and a half, and I lost. That was my biggest loss ever right there, 5K. And I was kind of stunned for a second, but the best thing I did was I kept paying attention, and the second it turned, I got right back in, and it had this nice bounce. I made it all back, and an extra, I don't know, like 700 bucks. So I was like basically made a grand on this play after losing 500. Not the best way to make a grand, but I'm just very happy I didn't give up on the play. Did make a bad mistake, but I recovered from it. But overall, this is a very good pattern, something that I wish happened every single day, something that I love to look for on multi-day runner OTCs. The next trade was LCLP on the 14th and 15th. So if we look at this trade, this was just a big runner out of nowhere, huge volume, 3 billion on the 14th here. So recently, when there's been OTCs with volume and momentum, I have been scalping them along the trend and really just buying dips and selling into strength. So on this day, I remember I was buying early down here, selling into pops, just buying every dip, selling into every pop, and I was able, the big thing is I'm able to go in with size. So I'm able to go in with 500,000 to a million shares and scalp it. And that's exactly what I did. And this I think was my 10K day that I had. I know on the spreadsheet it says just under 10K, just a tracking issue, an import issue, but this was my first 10K day ever on the 14th thanks to LCLP. Just that big OTC volume and volatility that I love. And then the next morning, it actually panicked out of the open, and I was okay with it panicking or gapping up and holding green, red, and spiking. Normally with these big OTC runners on day one, I've noticed they have some follow through on either, they have a second opportunity the next morning, and it's going to come in the form of a morning spike after it holds green to red, or a morning panic after it fails and goes red. In this case, it was a morning panic that I did nail the bottom, and then it started ripping up. I remember I sold it right in here because I thought it might stuff at the previous high, and it kept going. And very similar as the other day, I bought all the dips, and just scalped into the dips, taking what I could get. I think I was done with it after 10 o'clock, after this dip, and then I missed it, and I left it alone, but that turned into another almost 10K day, just under 10K. Another great trade, and basically a big trend I've seen from here on into the first few days of August is that, for me especially, these OTCs with momentum have been the plays where I'm doing the best on. So they're going to be what I'm focusing on, especially in slower summer months. I want to focus on what's working, and for me, it's these OTC plays. Now, if I fast forward a little bit on this chart and we look at the 21st right in here, I just keep playing the same play when it gives me opportunity. Had a big gap down, and I was buying the dips in the morning on the panic, and I just let it spike and sold along the way. I don't think I made it that far. I think I only made it into here. But nonetheless, when you got the volume, when you got the volatility, you got to take advantage of it. And that's exactly what I did. Um, let's see now. On the 28th, on that Wednesday, let me see what the trade was that I made. Oh, I'll do a different video completely on NSAF, but that was a really good one. That reminds me of DPLS a lot. On the 12th, the one that I hit the panic on, messed up, but then nailed it. But that's really about it. I mean, those are the highlight trades. The whole month was really listed first green days and OTC momentum. Right now, the market's shifting a little bit. The listed momentum, I feel like, has died down, and the OTC momentum is still there somewhat. I'm just not being as aggressive as I was. Hopefully, the volume comes back and they start spiking a lot harder. And NSAV was definitely a good start, but there hasn't been much follow through. Hopefully things start going a little more. But end of the month, 45,000, just under 46,000. My win percent was actually lower than last month, but I ended up making more, and that's just what happens when you cut losses quickly and you just play a very smart, very safe. Uh, just comparing the stats, my average win increased compared to last month, and my average loss actually decreased, which is a good sign. Biggest win much larger than last month. Largest loss smaller than last month. Uh, Worse winning percentage, as we already went over. My average gain went up, average loss went down. Biggest gain increase, biggest loss increase, but no big deal. And overall, I won 76% of the trading days, but only 53% on my trades. Going forward, what I want to do is just keep focusing on what's working, which is the OTC trades for me. Now being in August, there have been some OTC runners like NSAV that has been really nice, and also DRNG that ran for a few days but kind of just gave out. I'm hoping that we get some runners, maybe CYBL, CPSL was a good runner, KYNC. They had the nice day one or day two, but there's no holding higher levels and follow through yet. Maybe it'll happen down the line. I'll be monitoring, I'll be watching, but really the goal is to trade less. It's August. It's one of the slowest months of the year. It's summer. The volume and volatility usually isn't there. But I'll be here looking for opportunity, looking for more plays. At the end of July, all I could say is great month. Exactly what I wanted, exactly what I hoped for, and I'm just going to keep moving forward, doing the same things until the market tells me to change. The one thing that I do have to note is the list of first green day, like I said, has kind of died off. There haven't been as many runners. So right there is where I'm adapting and going to focus elsewhere, which are the OTCs for me. Another thing I want to say about August is you don't have to be sitting behind the screens all day. The first hour for me, for the past few days, maybe the past week and a half, has been it. I've made all my money in the first hour. And then everything kind of dries up because, like I said, the volume and liquidity is not there. So trade less, focus on pure A plus setups, and just keep pushing forward. That's all I gotta say.